Welcome! NOAA has just released its September of 2023 climate update. And this video is a summary of that report. The main feature of the report is that September was the hottest September on record. But not just by a small margin, but by a very large one, and not entirely due to El Nino. First, a quick summary of what we're going to talk about today. As I said, it was the hottest September on record. Both land and ocean set new highs. That's in 174 years of continuous monitoring. The mid-troposphere, it was the hottest September on record too. So even the upper levels of the atmosphere are showing these effects. Global sea ice extent was the smallest on record. We do have an El Nino established, and it's likely to last through at least until April of 2024. Carbon dioxide levels reached new highs for September. It was not just the global temperature that was the hottest on record, but each continent seemed to have major heating effects. North America, South America, Europe, and Africa all had their hottest September on record. Asia had its second hottest on record. Oceania had its third hottest on record. The Arctic was the second hottest, and all of the oceans also registered the highest temperatures recorded to date. When you look at the results graphically, this is the global average temperature for the months of September from 1850 to the present day. You can see this last month really stands out well above the others, about 0.5 degrees centigrade above the previous record, which was 2020. Now, some of this is due to El Nino, but the last El Nino was back here in 2016, and it's even eclipsed that, and that was a very large El Nino. When you compare our current temperatures with what it was in the first 70 years of this graph, you can see that we've increased by at least 1.6 degrees centigrade, perhaps more, which is a stunning increase in such a short time. When you look at the global distribution of the temperature, the effect becomes even more stunning. This is a percentiles map which shows record highs and record lows and the shades of grey in between that. Record low is a dark blue, and there's only one record low pixel just northeast of Iceland at the top of the map. Record highs is in the dark red, and that's over most of the map, particularly you'll notice in Antarctica. But Europe, South America, Africa, the Atlantic Ocean are all showing major signs of heating, and much of the rest of the map is much warmer than average. Just notice that finger of hot water off the west coast of South America. That's El Nino, and it's contributing some, but not all of this change. Here is a compilation of the daily, monthly, and all-time records for September. And they're broken into four categories: daytime highs, nighttime highs, daytime lows, and nighttime lows. And you can do a number of things with this. For example, you can take all the highs and compare them to the number of lows. And if that ratio is positive, it means there's been general warming. And in all three categories, that is the case. You can do something more complicated than that by comparing day highs with nighttime highs. And if that is less than zero, it means that the days are not warming as fast as the nights. And you can confirm that by doing the same thing with the lows. And if that number is positive, then the nights are warming more than the days, which eliminates the sun as a possibility for the cause of this warming that we are seeing. What we've been dealing with at the moment are local surface temperatures. But does the rest of the atmosphere share this trend? This is a measurement by the University of Alabama, Huntsville, showing the temperature in the middle troposphere, or about something of the order of about 4 kilometers above the surface. And as you can see, there's a general upward trend since 1979, which is when measurements started. However, the last couple of months, have been the highest months on record. The trend in this data is about 0.14 degrees centigrade per decade. Often people will say that the satellite data is showing cooling or not showing any increase. That is in fact untrue. A great deal of fuss is made about global sea ice and whether it's increasing or decreasing. I think you can see from this plot that the general trend is downwards at about 3% per decade. The important thing here is this last month is a record low, and by, again, quite a large margin. So something fundamental seems to be going on here. Now we can look at the two hemispheres separately. So the northern hemisphere would be basically the Arctic. That has got a long-term downward trend and is losing about 13% per decade. The southern hemisphere shows no particular trend up or down. However, again, the most recent month, September, is much lower than any previous month. So again, this does indicate that something basic is going on here. So the Arctic had its 5th lowest on record, and the Antarctic had its lowest on record. Here we have a picture of the sea surface temperature anomalies across the Pacific Ocean off the west coast of South America. That's the El Nino that we're talking about. Now it seems pretty much similar to last month. There actually were some slight negative changes in the El Nino, which means it's probably stabilizing or might even be declining slightly. However, that makes the extreme temperatures we've seen around the globe even more alarming to my way of thinking. In science, we generally deal with probabilities, and this is a probability function for the continuation of El Nino. You can see we have a 100% chance of it for this month. That's not really surprising, but this probability of El Nino being dominant goes all the way through to the spring of next year, in fact to the May of next year, where the probability of a neutral ENSO is beginning to rise. However, that might well change significantly over the coming months. Either it could go down quicker or be maintained longer. But it really says we've got at least 4, 5, 6 months more of this sort of weather to come. Now for everybody's favorite topic, carbon dioxide. In September of 2023, carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere reached 418.51 parts per million. That's an increase of 2.6 parts per million over the same time last year. I started last month talking about extreme weather events and was surprised how many there were globally, so I've done a more comprehensive list for this month. In September of 2023, we had the following. The UK's hottest day of the year. That's in September, not in August or July. Hong Kong, the heaviest rainfall since records began. Brazil hit by a cyclone. We don't usually get very many cyclones in South America. Spain hit by heavy rains. Australia bushfires in many places around the country. There was a major flood in Libya that killed thousands of people when 2 dams broke because of torrential rains. Hurricane Lee hits Canada. Super Typhoon Saola strikes China. Phoenix sets new record of 55 consecutive days with temperatures above 110 degrees Fahrenheit. 12 die in Greek floods. France was hit by a tornado in September. Europe doesn't get very many tornadoes. Australia is being hit by a heat wave, which has been largely blamed on El Nino. In the UK, wildfires are increasing. Now firemen are going to Spain to learn how to deal with large area wildfires. Heat-related deaths top 4,500 in the UK in the previous year, 2022. Storm Agnes rakes Ireland and the western UK. Brazil has been hit by a heat wave with temperatures above 40 degrees centigrade. South Africa hit by winter storms, floods, and lots of people have been evacuated. Greenland skies have turned dark due to the smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Swiss glaciers shrink by 10% in volume in just 2 years. The world is getting warmer, and it's getting warmer very quickly. This is quite concerning. That pace is likely to accelerate over the next 6 months, with El Nino, increasing greenhouse gases, and solar heating. Sea ice is receding from both polar regions, now lowering the Earth's albedo, which is probably causing the increase in global temperatures. The weather and the climate is likely to get worse. Expect more and costlier weather disasters in the coming years. Thank you for watching. So until next time, stay safe and goodbye.